Hey guys, it's me, Jared. Hello Hardware. And as you can probably see in the background there, I have a Dell 24 Professional series monitor in the background there. I just finished doing an unboxing video of it and figured I'd do a quick write-up review of it. Well, not write-up, really kind of me talking into the camera kind of review. But I got the specifications in front of me because I can't remember beans about these things. So I'll go over some of the quick stuff, but it's got a panel size of about 60.97, or essentially 61 centimeters. Aspect ratio is the standard widescreen 16.9. Its recommended resolution is 1920 x 1080p. However, it can support up to 1200 resolution. Its typical aspect contrast ratio is about 1000 to 1. It can max out at 2000 or 2 million to 1. But for a typical contrast resolution, it's kind of slow in terms of that. It's got a 5 milliseconds response time, which is your back to white configuration. It's got a 16.7 million color palette, color support, and it's LED backlit, which is much nicer than the CFLs. That's about it. It does have an anti-glare hard coating, which is that sometimes when you look at a monitor, especially slightly lower grade monitors, they have kind of like a dust coating on it, and that's essentially what that stuff is. It's to prevent the glare. So with that being said, I mean, it's got a couple issues on the monitor itself, but I guess one of the big things I can say is it is a professional series monitor. It's not supposed to be meant for gaming or anything of that matter. It can handle gaming, but its main job, its main purpose is essentially for business operation. Couple of the big no-nos that this monitor has: it's a $200 base monitor, and they really tried it's twisted pneumatic, which is kind of an older technology. A lot of people are now using IPS and stuff like that. So it's using older technology, but it kind of rivals some of the IPS monitors. In fact, it's very similar to the way the Ultra 24-inch Dell series works, but it's a lower end version of that as far as I'm concerned. One of the big no-nos that they did, of course, was for a monitor in the $200 price point, it doesn't have a lot of input capability. You're pretty much limited to VGA and DVI. And a monitor like this probably should have one HDMI connection at least, or a display port. In a lot of business scenario, even that is used quite a bit. So this was kind of a major downfall for this monitor. Now, it does have a full tilt base, which can handle 45 degrees of center axis swing. It does have 25 degrees of tilt, which will go anywhere from a positive of 4 to a negative of 21 for your axis tilt. And it can have raise and lower about 133 millimeters in height. This allows for full landscape and portrait, which is great in a business setting because you never know, based on what you're working on, what kind of setting you're going to have to be in, whether it is landscape or portrait. And the biggest thing that I see out of this, one of the major pluses on this, is that this monitor does use a full button setting for its menu options. So we'll go ahead and kind of scoot on over here and look at the monitor itself as soon as I can aim my camera right. But you actually have full buttons here. Well, I aim my camera right. Full buttons. So if you push a button, you're actually getting full button settings. So it's kind of nice to have actual button feature on the monitor rather than where the Ultra you had kind of like a weird thing going on. I don't like that. Physical buttons are kind of a major blessing, so it's kind of nice to see those. It does have a dual USB port on the side, which we've seen in the unboxing video. If I haven't posted it yet, I will be. But one of the things that I think it may be lacking in this regard is that it is lacking in having SD card reader or anything like that. Some of the other monitors that are out have that option, and this one does not. And it is nice having two USB ports on the side of the monitor that are easy to access, especially in a business where you can slap a USB drive into the monitor and it works. They're USB 2.0 compliant, so they work fine. And I guess that's not a major gripe, but again, there could be more for this. Now, some of the major issues that are with this monitor is essentially in its uniformity and gamma correction. And the reason why I say this is because the gamma for this monitor is really low. We're talking 1.8. So essentially out of the box, it's almost washout looking, and the colors just don't feel right. They don't feel as warm as they should be or as cold as they should be. Everything is just completely washed out. Now, most of that can be fixed in the calibration settings in your driver hardware that for your video card itself, and some of the settings for the contrast can also be fixed on the monitor itself. So that's kind of one of the major issues with this monitor, is that the gamma performance is literally crap. So with that, you know, that's going to affect a lot of what you're doing. If you're doing it for gaming, you're going to have major issues. It does have a 5 milliseconds response time, which used to be considered a gaming standard, but with a lot of today's faster-paced games, you kind of have to sacrifice a bit of performance to get it to look right. And with that being said, you know, if you want to run it at 5 milliseconds, ultra settings, and run it all the way through, then you're going to probably get some ghosting, maybe some artificing, and that may end up becoming a standard for that type of setting. I know on my 24-inch Ultra, I do tend to get a little bit of a performance loss, especially with artificing in games like Borderlands 2. And with the Professional Series monitor, I was able to also test it with Borderlands 2, and I get about the same issue, where the middle you start getting a little tearing and some artificing, and it's kind of not totally a game breaker for the monitor, but its main purpose, again, is not for gaming. It's for business and performance. So in many ways, this monitor is incredibly close with the Ultra 24-inch monitor. It does have a lot of advantages. I mean, you do have the full stand that works really well with your tilt settings and all that. You also get the full USB controller on the side, the hub. And you get real buttons for use and an excellent OSD. So for many parts, this is a pleasant monitor to use, but because it overlaps so close to that Ultra 24 and being a twisted pneumatic panel, it kind of just suffers some of the same issues that the Ultra 24 face has as well. So this overlap between the two monitors does come at a performance cost. And you know, being for $200, I'm not sure I would say it's a suggested monitor. It's a beautiful looking monitor, and it certainly performs okay. In a business standpoint, it would be an okay monitor to run with. But again, with a lack of features, especially with the only two ports that you have available, one a DVI, one a VGA, then the port settings, you're really lacking out on the ports for the monitor itself. So with that being said, $200 price point, I think better can be done. Now, it is still on the lower end of a 24-inch monitor. So if you're just looking to get 24-inch size monitor, you only have a DVI or a VGA connection, you're not planning on playing games, just running spreadsheets all day, then it's a great monitor. Out of the box, it needs a little tweaking, but it's a great monitor to run with. And if, again, for a small business that's just looking for total business purposes, a 24-inch size, it's a great monitor. If you're looking for gaming, look elsewhere. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon. I hit the stop button.